Stop scrolling, because the footage that just leaked out of the courthouse has people stunned, furious, and heartbroken all at once. Teyana Taylor, usually known for her poise and strength, was caught on camera completely losing it in the middle of her custody battle. She didn't hold back. She turned on Aaron Pierre, the man who was supposed to be standing beside her, and the way she yelled at him left the entire courtroom in shock. But the most surprising part wasn't even the outburst. It was the way the judge responded, delivering a ruling so unexpected that it changed everything in an instant. The words came down like a hammer, and the fallout is something neither Teyana nor Aaron could have ever prepared for. For weeks, this custody case had been simmering in the background, building tension like a ticking time bomb. On the surface, it was supposed to be about Teyana and her ex-husband, Iman Shumpert, figuring out how to navigate parenting after their split. But anyone who's been paying attention knows this case was never simple. Aaron's presence, his closeness with Teyana, his attempt to bond with the kids, and his blurred lines between being a boyfriend and a stepfather figure had been raising eyebrows from the start. To some, Aaron was just trying to be supportive. But to others, especially Iman, it felt like interference. And when you mix personal heartbreak with the unforgiving environment of a courtroom, emotions don't just get high, they explode. That's exactly what happened when the cameras started rolling inside that courtroom. The day began the way most hearings do. Attorneys flipping through papers, the judge reminding everyone of the rules, and Teyana walking and looking tired but collected. She wore a muted outfit, her face partly hidden by glasses, but anyone watching closely could see the tension in her shoulders. Aaron followed not far behind, quiet at first, almost blending into the background. He wasn't there as a defendant, not officially, but his presence was enough to change the energy of the room. Everyone knew he wasn't supposed to be the center of attention, yet somehow he always was. For the first half of the hearing, things moved predictably. The judge asked questions about schedules, stability, and what was best for the kids. Lawyers presented documents and argued points. Iman kept his composure, sitting tall, watching everything with a cool expression, but every so often, he would glance at Aaron like he was a reminder of the wound that hadn't healed. The tension was there, unspoken but heavy. And then, almost out of nowhere, it shifted. Aaron was asked a simple question, not even directly about custody, but about his role in the children's day-to-day lives. Maybe it was the way he answered. Maybe it was the way his words made it sound like he was stepping into a position that wasn't his to claim. Whatever it was, it set something off inside Teyana. She had been holding it together all morning, but her patience snapped. Her voice, normally calm and measured, suddenly rose above everyone else's. She turned toward Aaron, her words sharp, her tone cracking with emotion. "You don't get to confuse my kids like that. You don't get to act like their father." The words echoed through the courtroom, louder than anyone expected. Gasps could be heard from the benches. Even the stenographer paused for a moment, glancing up from her machine. Teyana wasn't just frustrated. She was furious, raw, and protective. The kind of anger that only comes from a mother who feels like her children are being pulled in too many directions. Aaron's face said it all. Shock, hurt, maybe even betrayal. He hadn't expected her to turn on him in front of the judge, in front of Iman, in front of everyone. He opened his mouth like he wanted to defend himself, but no words came out. He sat frozen, his eyes darting between Teyana and the judge, realizing that this wasn't just a private argument anymore. This was public, official, and it was being recorded. The judge didn't waste time. His gavel slammed down, his voice cutting through the chaos with authority. He called the outburst unacceptable, reminding Teyana that this was a courtroom, not a battleground. But it wasn't just a scolding. The judge leaned forward, his tone grave, and made a decision that sent a chill through the room. He announced that Aaron's visitation privileges with the children would be suspended immediately, at least until the court could fully review whether his presence was helping or hurting the situation. For a moment, the entire courtroom went silent. You could almost hear the sound of people holding their breath. Teyana's face crumbled as the weight of those words hit her. Her anger had boiled over, but the cost of that eruption was higher than she ever imagined. Tears filled her eyes, and she lowered her head into her hands, realizing that her outburst had not only embarrassed her, it had shifted the entire case in a direction she didn't want. Aaron sat stunned, staring at the judge as if he couldn't process what had just happened. One moment, he was sitting quietly trying to support Teyana, and the next, he was stripped of his ability to even see the kids. His face turned pale, his lips pressed tight, and his silence spoke louder than any argument he could have made. To lose visitation rights, even temporarily, was more than just a legal setback. It was a public statement that the court didn't trust him around the children, at least for now. Iman's reaction was the one people couldn't stop talking about. He didn't gloat, not openly. But observers swear they saw the faintest smirk on his lips, like he had been waiting for this moment, like he knew the house of cards was bound to fall eventually. For him, this was validation, that his concerns about Aaron weren't just jealousy or bitterness, but something the court itself now recognized. Within hours, the footage leaked. A shaky video clip, recorded from inside the courtroom, began circulating on Twitter and Instagram. In it, you can hear Teyana's voice cracking as she yells at Aaron, followed by the judge's booming decision to suspend visitation. The clip spread like wildfire, shared millions of times, dissected in comment sections, and turned into endless memes and debates. Fans were torn. Some defended Teyana fiercely, saying she had every right to explode if she felt her children were being confused or manipulated. "That's a mother protecting her babies," one fan wrote. Others were less forgiving. They argued that Teyana's lack of control made her look unstable, and that in a courtroom, especially in front of a judge deciding custody, you can't afford to let emotions take over. "She just gave Iman exactly what he wanted," another person tweeted. The hashtags told the story of the divide. Hashtag Team Teyana flooded timelines, but so did hashtag Justice for Aaron. His supporters painted him as an innocent bystander who got caught in the crossfire of a war that wasn't his. They argued that he wasn't trying to replace anyone, that he was simply showing up for Teyana and the kids because he cared. But in the cold light of a courtroom, intentions didn't matter as much as appearances. Legal experts wasted no time weighing in, dissecting every detail of the courtroom decision like it was a play-by-play in a championship game. The suspension of visitation wasn't a final judgment, they clarified, but make no mistake, it wasn't light. It sent a strong message. Judges, especially in high-profile custody cases, care about one thing above all: stability. And when things look chaotic, when tempers flare or social media erupts, they're quick to act. One seasoned attorney summed it up bluntly. When a judge sees instability, they start questioning if the environment is truly safe for the kids. Period. And that's exactly what played out in court. Teyana, usually composed and fierce, looked undone. Eyewitnesses said she exited the courtroom with tears streaming down her face, her mascara smudged, her grip tight on her attorney's arm as if holding on for emotional support. This wasn't the image of a mother in control. This was a woman unraveling under public pressure. Moments later, Aaron emerged, face tight, jaw clenched, lips sealed. He ignored reporters' questions, but his silence screamed frustration. Some say he looked like a man betrayed by a system that didn't even try to understand his side. Then came Iman. Cool. Collected. Almost smug. He left the courtroom like someone who got exactly what he came for. Head high, shoulders back, like this was a win in a war he's been quietly preparing for. And maybe it was. Because now legal analysts are whispering what many fans are shouting. Has the tide turned in Iman's favor? Could this single courtroom decision become a turning point in the entire custody case? For some, it's justice. For others, it's a dangerous move that punishes emotion over intention. And still, the bigger questions remain. Did Teyana truly lose control, or was she provoked beyond reason? Is Aaron really crossing boundaries, or just loving children who never asked to be caught in this storm? What happens next? Another hearing? More leaks? More headlines? What's certain is this: the courtroom drama may make for juicy content, but for the children at the heart of it all, this is their real life. Not a trending topic. Not clickbait. They're just kids, caught in a battle of egos, trauma, and tangled love stories, hoping someone remembers to fight for them, not just about them.